What's going on, guys? Grab your protein shakes, popcorn tubs, and pillows because you're about to witness my process. This is a commentary, voiceover of one of my workouts. This was taken earlier this week, actually. A little bit of a unique workout for me today. I was doing some maxes, just training maxes to kind of see where things are at comfortably and just some accessory work. So nothing too crazy. But join me as we go ahead and kind of break this down. I started this workout with a little bit of mobilization, as you see here on the foam roller. They call this self-myofascial release, or SMR, and I really just use it as a diagnostic. Olympic weightlifting, which is strictly what I do these days, has a lot of overhead work, a lot of full shoulder extension and loading, and I just want to make sure I can get into a good, stable position. And like I said, I'm using it to kind of feel out what my body's telling me. You see there a little bit of a grimace, forcing that external rotation, opening up that latissimus dorsi on the side, just flossing through some of that muscle, getting some of that stiff, tacky tissue kind of unglued, letting those layers kind of slide over each other. And I'm just listening to what my body's telling me. Am I sore? Am I beat up? Am I going to need to take it a little bit slower, do a little bit more work in certain areas? The foam roller becomes your best friend when it comes to determining those things. So the upper back in particular today was a little bit, not really sore, just wonky. I could feel it was tight. It was a little balled up. So that's why I was kind of hitting that extra with the foam roller there. And then I just kind of wind up the hip into external rotation and start working on a little bit of the piriformis, kind of glute medius there, right up into the corner. This will make grown man cry. This is not comfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but a good one to open up the hips, kind of get that good pelvic girdle kind of cueing that you need when you're in that deep squat. Keep that that pelvic bowl open, right, as Dwight Schrute would say. So here we go, just kind of floss it through the corners, and then I think I switch over one more little area for those weightlifters out there. Gotta hit those quads, your best friends, but they need some love, and mine are just continually trashed. You just a jungle of muscle fiber in there that's terrifying to even start digging into. So kind of flossing over, sliding back and forth. Again, just a diagnostic. What's my body telling me? Do I need to go spend 20 minutes warming up, or can I jump into it? Looks like I can jump into it. So my next effort here is just going to be cueing with the barbell, just getting the blood flowing, mobilizing the joints. And right here I'm actually trying to stretch out the calves a little bit, really forcing the ankle into some dorsiflexion. It's actually one of the best moves you can do as a weightlifter. So many people struggle to get their ankles mobilized enough, just wearing stiff shoes all day, or not walking or running properly when they do. Their ankles get super tight, and that's why most people can't get down into a deep squat and stay stabilized. I apologize for everything that's going on in the background. My man doing some conditioning, looks like a 70-pound dumbbell snatch, good for him. It was an absolute pain to try to find a place to put my phone today, so very packed gym, which I guess is a good thing, huh? People getting in shape. Started to snatch grip here. Love this one. Really actually opens up the bicep, believe it or not. Kind of the traps, the rhomboids, and then definitely open up the bicep. Get some blood, bicep? Bicep. Get some blood flowing into the trapezius. A little bit of overhead cueing. Just kind of feeling out, the positions. The positions of weightlifting are huge. You'll actually see me train a little bit of that at the end of this video as well. So seeing how that squat's feeling. Just starting to cue, trying to get that speed under the bar, good turnover, good catch, lots of good balance. So the first part of my workout today called for a maximum snatch. That's a training max. So I'm not going to set any records or break any PRs or personal records that I hold. I'm just going to work up to a heavy single without any failed attempts. So no mess ups here, right? You really got to be in tune with your body. So I start with a 10 on the bar. This is the first movement that I was doing. So a 10 on each side. Here we have a 25 on each side, so 95 pounds, making small jumps, and I'm doing the baby weights. If I was warm, I'd probably jump straight into a plate each side, at least a 25 each side, but by making some smaller doubles, smaller incremented jumps, I'm able to kind of warm up. And you'll notice I'm catching a little high on the first rep of these doubles. It's somewhere between a power snatch and a full snatch, and that just helps my speed under the bar, which is something I struggle with. So always trying to work on that speed. By not getting as low under the bar, I have less time to get there. And you can see my lovely wife there in the side chucking weights around. There, I finally move up to a plate each side. That's 135 pounds. Here we have a 10 added. using straps just because the bars are bad, and I'm not using chalk at the gym here. So 155 pounds. I think this is where I switch over to singles. Bam, down into the pocket, stand her up, feels good. Moving on. And I made a pretty big jump here, straight to 185, just under my body weight right now. You know, again, it's just all about how you're feeling. I was feeling tired, honestly, and I didn't want to stretch out my warm-up doing 15 sets. I didn't need to, so jump straight to 185. Again, I'm going to a heavy single, no mess-ups, no misses, so just kind of committing and going straight for it. Get tight, good pull, pretty good speed, a little bit of a wobble there, but that's pretty typical for me. Felt pretty decent, and I went ahead and pulled that sucker for a double just because I was high on that first one, like I was saying. I wasn't even really thinking about it. I just noticed, man, I'm not getting all the way under. I'm still doing kind of my power snatch thing, so pulled it again, got right under it. Easy double at 185. Threw a 10 on each side in 205 now, breaking that 200 club. For me, for the past year or so, that's pretty heavy. Just recently, I've started getting over 200 again consistently. And for the longest time, I just wasn't training weightlifting, wasn't going very heavy on my snatches. I was doing a bunch of conditioning and other stuff that just did not pan out. And it feels good, oh so good to be back into what I love. So there's a 205 snatch, went up pretty easy. Made another big jump here and went straight to 225, 100 kilos, a little over 100 kilos. And this is actually what I had in my head to try to hit tonight. That would tie a current training PR for me. Again, no fails up until this point. Get tight, had to re-wrap there. Didn't like how that was feeling on the wrist, a little bit loose. Again, these bars are pretty slick getting worked over in the commercial gym like this, and no chalk is always fun. So get tight, a little bit slower off the floor, good contact, pull right under. Good stabilization. You can see the wobble here. I'll actually play this again in slow motion so you guys can kind of see all of the little idiosyncrasies of me going into it, but felt good and pretty proud of that 225 snatch here, first attempt. Come up, good contact, pull under the bar for the second pull, good lockout, pushes me into the floor, stabilize, don't you drop it, gorgeous, stand it back up. So, yep, little grimace there for the camera. That's pretty nice, you know, considering where my body weight's at and just how recently 200 started to feel good again, that went up really well, so I'm pretty proud of that. It's going the right direction, shall we say. So the next thing on the docket for tonight's workout was the clean and jerk. Watch how ridiculous. Wasn't that just something else right there? I didn't know what I was doing. I went straight into it. I started at 185 just because I'm already warm. My legs are warm. I just did a bunch of snatches. I said, that's garbage. Threw some wrist wraps on it, pulled it again. Much smoother. That first one, I was jolty. I was weird. It felt strange. I think I just forgot what I was doing for a second. So 185 for a double. Same thing here, working up to a maximal effort or a heavy single, quote unquote, clean and jerk. In my head, I had 275 as a number. I just recently cleaned 275 again, and I haven't jerked it. I haven't jerked anything probably over 255 in the better part of a year. So I was kind of seeing where my overhead strength was, the stabilization and everything else. Worked up pretty fast. I think I hit 185. 225. This is like 255 maybe, somewhere in there. Yeah, I think that's 255. Went up pretty well. Felt pretty decent. So went straight to the 275, the 2 1/4 plates there each side, and got tight. Honestly, I think the standing up here got a little bit far forward. That was the hardest part. Nice and tight. Breathe, brace, bam. Shaky like crazy, but it went up first try. I'll hang my hat on that. I haven't been putting heavy weight overhead very much, so that shake is just kind of that unfamiliarity with, you know, vertically loading the body with that much weight. You can see it just grinds to a stop almost. Feels like an eternity. About ready to black out. Load the hips. Good stretch reflex into that pocket. I've been trying to time my jerk a little bit more by being slower into the pocket, stable, and then a good press up and out and lock. I could be a little bit more aggressive on the lock through the elbows, but I wouldn't say that that was a rehinge, maybe 3 white lights. So feeling good. All that I have left in this workout is a bunch of squatting. I had 5 triples at 255, I believe. So just went ahead with 1 plate here and banged out some triples. Then I think I went plate and a quarter. Yeah, 185 here, and then just kind of worked up from there. Nothing too crazy, you know, for my squatting. Squatting's feeling pretty good. Again, you know, probably 3-4 months ago, this would have felt heavy. I mean, it was ridiculous, the kind of shape I was in. Just now starting to get back to my old strength, and it feels good. So I think that was 2 or 3 warm-up sets, and I just jumped straight into it. And honestly, guys, when I went to edit this video, I realized without even knowing or looking at a clock, I took like exactly a minute's break in between each one of these sets. I cut it out for the sake of keeping this video, realistic, but it's funny how, 1 minute and I just feel like I can do it again. This wasn't hard. I could have banged out a set of 10 maybe. But I mean, a minute's rest, it definitely wasn't a maximal effort. I think the programming called for 70%, 75, something like that. So working around 255. I haven't maxed my squat in a while, so I'm really just kind of guesstimating where I should be, where I am. Just trying to keep it where it should be and trying to focus on the technique as it applies to weightlifting. Very high bar position, trying to keep the chest and head up, not get too bent over coming out of the pocket, keep those knees forward, knees out. Same thing you would see in a snatch or that clean, that front squat essentially as you're standing up out of the clean. So felt pretty good here. The last exercise that I worked on, I do have one more set of, maybe 2 more sets of squats here, but the last exercise I did, guys, like an idiot, I set my camera up, got a great angle, did all 3 sets I was supposed to do, and forgot to push record. So I did go back and record one single set of my last exercise, which was a clean lift off, but I apologize I didn't get all 3 sets of that. I think I'll go ahead and put the workout down in the description box just so you can kind of track what the heck I was working on. This whole workout on this particular day probably took an hour from warm up to, getting everything filmed, everything in between and heading out of the gym. Maybe a tight 55 minutes, who can say. So that was the last set of the squats there. Again, pretty easy. Switch to my clean lift off. It's not a clean pull. I'm just going to about the knee. I think this is about 300 pounds, maybe a little over 305 or so it looks like. And I hook gripped all this, so my thumbs were hurting, but the goal was to, in my head, imagine that I'm cleaning this weight. So I'm keeping the shin very vertical, keeping the knees forward of the bar to start, and I'm keeping that bar just right in that nice vertical path. Simple sets of triples. So again, that was just one set, but as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one, and hit that subscribe button for more.